Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Madhava Madhava Radhe. Jai Radha Govardhana Dhari Radhe. Jai Radha. Very nice singing, thank you. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Govardhana Dhari Ki Jai. Shri Panchatattva Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 9, Text 21. Jai Prabhupada. Yannabi Padma Bhavanadahama Samidhya Loka Trayopakarano Yad Anugrahena Tasmai Namasta Udarasta Bhavaya Yoga Nidra Vasana Vikasan Nalinekshanaya Yannabhi Padma Bhavanadahama Samidya Loka Trayopakarano Yadanugrahena Tasmai Namasta Udarastha Bhavaya Yoga Nidra Vasana Vikasan Nalinekshanaya Yat, whose, Nabi, navel, Padma, lotus, Bhavanat, from the house of, Aham, I, Asam, become manifested, Idya, O worshipable one, Lokatraya, the three worlds, Upakaranaha, helping in the creation of, Yat, whose, Anugrahena, by the mercy, Tasmai, unto him, Namaha, my obeisances, Te, unto you, Udarastha, situated within the abdomen, Bhavaya, having the universe, Yoga Nidra Avasana, after the end of that transcendental sleep, Vikasat, blossoming, Nalina Ikshanaya, unto him whose opening eyes are like lotuses. So beautiful. Nalina Ikshanaya, unto him whose opening eyes are like lotuses. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O object of my worship, I am born from the house of your lotus navel for the purpose of creating the universe by your mercy. All these planets of the universe were stationed within your transcendental abdomen while you were enjoying sleep. Now, your sleep having ended, your eyes are open like blossoming lotuses in the morning. Please repeat. O object of my worship, I am born from the house of your lotus navel for the purpose of creating the universe by your mercy. All these planets of the universe were stationed within your transcendental abdomen while you were enjoying sleep. Now, your sleep having ended, Your eyes are open like blossoming lotuses in the morning. Report by Srila Prabhupada. Brahma is teaching us the beginning of Archana regulations from morning 4 o'clock to night 10 o'clock. Early in the morning, the devotee has to rise from his bed and pray to the Lord. And there are other regulative principles for offering Mangal Arati early in the morning. Foolish non-devotees, not understanding the importance of Archana, criticize the regulative principles, but they have no eyes to see that the Lord also sleeps by his own will. The impersonal conception of the Supreme is so detrimental to the path of devotional service that it is very difficult to associate with stubborn non-devotees who always think in terms of material conceptions. Impersonalists always think backwards. They think that because there is form in matter, spirit should be formless. Because in matter there is sleep, in spirit there cannot be sleep. And because the sleeping of the deity is accepted in Archana worship, the Archana is Maya. All these thoughts are basically material. To think either positively or negatively is still thinking materially. Knowledge accepted from the superior source of the Vedas is the standard. Here in these verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find that Archana is recommended. Before Brahma took up the task of creation, he found the Lord sleeping on the serpent bed in the waves of the water of devastation. Therefore, sleeping exists in the internal potency of the Lord. And this is not denied by pure devotees of the Lord like Brahma and his disciplic succession. It is clearly said here that the Lord slept very happily within the violent waves of the water, manifesting thereby that he is able to do anything and everything by his transcendental will and not be hampered by any circumstances. The Mayavadi cannot think beyond this material experience, and thus he denies the Lord's ability to sleep within the water. His mistake is that he compares the Lord to himself, and that comparison is also a material thought. The whole philosophy of the Mayavada school, based on not this, not that, neti neti, is basically material. Such thought cannot give one the chance to know the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuhun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We just chanted Srila Prabhupada's Pranam mantra. Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Paschatya Deshatarine. So Srila Prabhupada is showing us even his pranam mantra that this this endeavor of pushing back against the impersonal or Mayavada philosophy that has become very prominent in the Western world is very essential part of Srila Prabhupada's mission and the mission of all the acharyas coming in the line of Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada says here that that the impersonal conception of the Supreme is so detrimental to the path of devotional service that it's very difficult to associate with such stubborn non-devotees who always think in terms of material conceptions. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that for a devotee it's very painful actually to associate with people who are pushing this impersonal conception of the Supreme, right? Because everything they say is material. Although they're claiming to have a spiritual philosophy, but actually their philosophy is materialistic. It appears to be material, it appears to be something very, very mystical, very wonderful, but actually by analysis it is a material philosophy. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that actually the idea of liberation is a material concept because the idea of liberation, the impersonal idea of liberation, happens at a particular point in material time, right? So somebody says, I'm not liberated, I'm conditioned, and then at a certain point they become liberated, right? So that point of time, if anything happens in a particular point of material time, we can see, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving us the insight here, that's actually a material concept. So the concept of bhakti is Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema, Sadhya Kabunai, Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte, Karayo Udai. So the idea of bhakti is eternally existing. Bhakti doesn't happen at a certain point of time. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema, right? Nitya means always, eternally. So bhakti is eternally there in the hearts of all the living entities. According to the Bhakti Shastra, the Bhakti tradition and scriptures, that this love for God is eternally existing within the heart of every living entity. It's not something that happens at a particular time. And by hearing and chanting and remembering and performing service to the Lord, then gradually that bhakti that's eternally there becomes remanifested. It becomes reawakened. Udai. Like a seed. A seed is always existing in the ground. It doesn't suddenly appear, it's existing. But then under the right circumstances, the flower grows. But the conception of liberation is that it happens at some time. The Mayavadi philosophers say that that when one is involved in the world, he's conditioned, and then one becomes a sannyasi, then he becomes like Narayan, he becomes as the same as God, and then he's liberated. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, no, this is a material conception. It's something that happens in material time. It's not actually an eternal principle. And we learn from the scriptures, in fact, different parts of Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma, he's saying that actually, if somebody thinks that they're liberated, but they don't have a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then they're not actually liberated. They're thinking in a material way, but they're not actually liberated. And as Prabhupada says here, the whole impersonal philosophy is based on not this, not this. It is not that. So we can see again that not this, not this, not that, not that. What is that statement in relation to? What is the sambandha of that statement? Is that statement related to the spiritual world or is it related to the material world? What's the subject of that statement? Not this, not that, not that. What is it? It's related to material things, right? Yeah. So that statement, not this, not that, it's a statement that's actually the sambandha, or the basis of that statement is the material energy. So we can see it's a material statement. For those who don't know, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said we should understand this philosophy in terms of sambandha, abhidheya, and prayojana. And that means, sambandha means like the identity, right? What is the identity of things? What are things related to? That has to be set up. What are the things in that field of activity? Mundane example, before the season of in the sports, whatever the sport is that people are engaged in the professional sports, we can see that somebody goes to a certain club and they put on a certain uniform, right? There's certain colors of that club. That's the sambandha. They're taking that identity. All right, I'm going to be this, right? Or there might be a certain place. There might be a certain part, just like the kids yesterday were learning cricket at school, right? And they might say, all right, I'm going to be the batter. So that sambandha is the batter. They take the bat and then that becomes their identity. That's sambandha, right? That's your identity. Sambandha, abhidheya. And then abhidheya is the activities. So once the identity is set up, the activities are based on that identity, right? So if one is the batter in cricket, what is the activities? He bats, right? That's what he does. If he's the bowler, the activities are the bowl. And then prayojana is the ultimate goal. So what's the ultimate goal? In this example, the ultimate goal is to hit the ball, to make some runs. That's the prayojana, the ultimate goal. So everything actually can be analyzed. And Lord Chaitanya said we should analyze this whole philosophy in these terms. And especially he said we should understand that sambandha of the living entity is a servant of Krishna. Jiva Rasrup Hoy Krishna and Nityadas. The activities of the living entity are to serve Krishna, to do devotional service. And then the goal is pure love of God, right? That's the goal. So sambandha, abhidheya, prayojana. So in this example, we can see the sambandha, the basis. And if we think in those terms, we can analyze everything in those terms, right? It's important to analyze. Just yesterday I was reading a book by Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. You sit still. Can you sit cross-legged? Or at least don't continually move. Thank you. So Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, he wrote one small book, actually it's 100 verses, and it's called 108 or 100 verses against mundane mellows, against materialistic ideals. And there was one verse there where he said, Siddhanta alasa, that one has to be careful if one is very lazy, if one is lazy in understanding the Siddhanta or the conclusions of Vaishnava thought, then he won't attain the ultimate goal. He said a very, very instructive verse that one can't be lazy about understanding the philosophy and think, it doesn't matter. I'll just go along. Everything's fine, because one day we will encounter some difficulties in life. Some challenges will come, and we'll need to dig deeply into our Krishna consciousness. Right? We'll need to dig deeply, and then we'll need it. In all of our lives, at some point, some great challenge will come, and we need to dig deep and rely on the philosophy to try to see what is Krishna's hand in this? How should I react to this? How should I properly maintain my service attitude and not offend any devotees? How should I properly try to keep doing my service under these very trying circumstances? And that requires to really understand and see the world through the eyes of these bhakti scriptures. It's called Shastra Chakshu. Chakshu means to see, and Shastra means the scriptures. So if we see like that, and if we see everything in these terms of sambandha, abhidheya, prayojana, everything we can analyze very clearly. It's very clear to understand. And in this case, if we analyze what is the sambandha of this statement, not this, not that, we can immediately see, oh, this is a materialistic sambandha, right? It is setting something up in the material world, and it's saying all of these material things, not that, it's not that, it's not that. But it doesn't give a positive spiritual sambandha. It doesn't give a positive spiritual identity. So Krishna consciousness in the Srimad Bhagavatam is giving us actually what is spiritual life. It's not just telling us what is not material life. It's telling us what is spiritual life, right? And Ishopanishad, verse 11, tells us very clearly that we need to have both of these, right? We need to have the vidyams cha avidyams cha yat. It says that you have to, yes, understand this material world. You have to understand what's going on, what is your conditioning, how you have to act within your conditioning, how the material laws are going, right? A simple example, if we go to another country and we think they drive on the left side of the road and they drive on the right side of the road, there can be great problems. Just like one time Srila Prabhupada went to Mauritius off the coast of Africa, and he was driving in a car, and they came around the corner, and suddenly another car came, bang, head-on collision, because some tourists had come from France or South Africa or some other place where they drove on the other side of the road. And they were going along thinking, yes, it's fine, we're on this right side of the road, but they weren't. They were on the wrong side of the road. So they came around, head-on collision. So like that, if we think the material world is set up in a certain way, if we think that the material world is set up for our enjoyment, the material world has so many wonderful experiences waiting for us that we can go and enjoy and stay here for so long, then we're driving the wrong side of the road, because the material world is actually not set up like that. It's set up to look like that. It's set up to give us the experience, the thought that yes, we can enjoy and become the controller. But that is not actually. Sambandha is given. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jivara Srupahoy, Krishnara Nityadas. He's given the sambandha that no, you're not the enjoyer of this material world. You're actually the servant of the Supreme Spirit, the source, your very source, that unlimited personality. You're an eternal servant. You're an eternal, pure divine, in pure divine love. Not exploitation, but complete pure divine love. That is your actual sambandha of your soul. And therefore the Mayavad, and you could translate Buddhism, for example, is another example where it's like, not this, not that. That desire is getting us in problems. Because of desire, there's suffering. So if we kill all desire, there's no suffering. But the Bhakti texts tell us that is a very incomplete process, because the very nature of the soul is to be and enjoy, is to taste bliss, Satchit Ananda, to be eternal, to be full of knowledge, completely out of ignorance, and to have Ananda, to have bliss in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Bhakti texts are telling us that. So if we try to give up all desire, give up all interaction, give up all relationship, the Bhakti texts are telling us that you can't. You're negating the very nature of yourself. Your very self. Your very self wants to have loving relationships with the Supreme Personality of God in cooperation with other souls, right? So this idea that if we just negate the material, just give up this, give up that, then we'll attain a perfection, is called as a very impartial progress in spiritual life. And according to the Bhakti texts, which actually give us a process to spiritually connect, to actually connect our soul with the Supreme Soul, right? According to that, it's a very, very insignificant process to simply give up this material thing, give up that material thing. So as Prabhupada is saying here, for pure devotees to hear this kind of idea that it is very painful actually, because they are having a divine, eternal, spiritual, loving relationship with the Supreme Person. And to say that the only interactions, the only relationships are just a product of Maya, it's just illusion, that is extremely, extremely painful for them to hear. It's extremely offensive and very painful. When Lord Chaitanya, when Lord Chaitanya's guru, Ishvara Puri, he was serving his spiritual master, a very great acharya, Madhavendra Puri. And he was serving him at the very last stages of life. So the physical body of Madhavendra Puri wasn't working properly, and he wasn't able to do all the functions of the material body. And so he would, do all of the end of life care that goes on when somebody's leaving their body. And Ishvara Puri was very, very lovingly and with great understanding serving his spiritual master. And Madhavendra Puri, it said that he was the beginning, or one of the starts of bringing this actual divine love, or the divine mood of Radha Krishna into the world. From him it came. He was one of the great pillars of this bringing this Braja Leela, the Vrindavan Leela mood of separation from Krishna into the world. So he was experiencing intense separation from the Supreme Lord Krishna. In his lamentation, he was spiritually lamenting that where is Krishna? Where is my most beloved Krishna? I'm searching for him. Like this, he was expressing his divine transcendental emotions. And another disciple by the name of Ramachandra Puri, he was also there at the time. And he took it on himself to start to instruct Madhavendra Puri. And he actually said words to the effect of that, why are you lamenting? This lamentation is a material thing. Right? This is a material emotion. It's impersonal philosophy, right? Any kind of relationship, any kind of emotion, it's just Maya, it's just material. This is the impersonal philosophy. Therefore, it's so painful for a pure devotee. And it was so painful for Madhavendra Puri that he, on his deathbed, he didn't die, obviously, he was on his bed of leaving his body. At that time, he chastised Ramachandra Puri so much, and he said, just go away. I can't hear this. Get out from here. Because he is, these great souls like Madhavendra Puri, like we heard Vamshidas Babaji Maharaj, they are directly experiencing the spiritual world. It's not a theoretical, intellectual idea for them. They're actually experiencing, they're living in the spiritual world. We may see them outside, they're speaking something, this and that. And just like we heard him on Sunday all about Vamshidas Babaji. He was continually talking to his deity, talking to his Gopal deity, chastising him, talking to him. Then you wait, I haven't finished cooking. No, it's not time for eating yet. Like this, he was continually, and everybody could see he was in a divine spiritual experience he was having with Krishna. And so for someone on that level that's having that experience, for someone to say, oh, this is just all Maya. But the actual opposite is the case, that devotees who have the experience of the spiritual world, and even us beginning devotees, to some extent, we have that experience of what is the nature of spiritual experience through the chanting of the holy name. When we're chanting the holy name with great care and attention, we can understand that this is something that is beyond a material emotion. Even we can understand that. What to speak of, devotees who are on this great exalted platform, and so it's very painful for them to hear, oh, this relationship, it's just illusory, Just like if you were having a very loving relationship with your mother or your father or your sister or brother, your beloved wife, husband, and it was very real. And for many years you had so many different interactions, and then someone said, oh, they don't even exist. That's just you're just imagining something like that. Yeah. So Lord Brahma is giving us here that he's giving through these pages of Bhagavatam that the prayers that he's giving to Lord Krishna, Lord Garbhodaksha Vishnu, the form of Krishna, he's sharing these prayers that he saw Garbhodaksha Vishnu in his trance, in a spiritual trance. He directly had darshan of the Lord, and he's sharing that, and he's glorifying the Lord with these prayers. So we can also enter into this world, into the spiritual world through the insights or the sharing of these great souls in Bhagavatam, who actually give us, what actually is the spiritual world. They're directly perceiving it, and we can learn from that. So thank you very much for coming for class, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. Totally unknown, unprepared. Is there any question or comments from anyone? Yes. Is there a microphone? Just 1 second. Yeah, Prabhu said in the verse they talk about archanam. So can you translate that? In the purport, Srila Prabhupada brings up the point that Brahma is teaching us the beginning of archana regulations. Early in the morning, the devotee rises from bed and prays to the Lord, and there are other regulated principles offering Mangaladi. Foolish non-devotees, not understanding the importance, criticize the regulated principles, but they have no eyes to see the Lord also sleeps by his own will. Wow. Such a transcendental perspective Srila Prabhupada has, and he's also, clearly he's referring to, or he may also be referring to certain insights the acharyas are given, because he had the books of the main acharyas while he was translating here, Bhagavatam. And the point is given that Lord Brahma is saying that the Lord, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, was sleeping, and then by he wakes up, right? He says, I'm born from the house of your lotus navel. All these planets were stationed within your transcendental lab while you're enjoying sleep. Now your sleep having ended, your eyes are opening like blossoming lotuses in the morning. I've never actually heard this. This is very wonderful. I just realized, thank you for bringing this up, that we talk about Karana Daksha Vishnu having the Yoga Nidra, transcendental sleep. And when all the universes end, they all merge back into his body, and he sleeps for some time, and then when he wakes up, they're manifested. So the same thing we can see is Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So within the universe, the Garbhodaksha Vishnu is there, and it's saying that he's also sleeping, and the universe manifests, Lord Brahma manifests when he opens his eyes, when he wakes up, right? It's saying that. So Srila Prabhupada is relating that to Archana. So in the morning, we wake the Lord. Who knows what time we wake the Lord in the morning? Who knows what time the I know Padmalochan knows, because he does it once a week. No? Can you guys hear it there? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Who knows? Oh, 4. Yes, very good. 4 o'clock. So the Lord wakes up at Haribol. So who wakes up before Krishna? Who wakes up before 4 a.m.? Sometimes. You do? Hey, come on. You're talking to your father here. I know what time we wake up, right? The Pujari, yeah. Sorry, somebody else. Somebody said something here? What was that? The Pujari. A lot of people do. A lot of devotees did. They wake up before 4, get ready to come from Mangalati. So this is the Prabhupada's bringing this into this, and that's the thing, is that we are practicing by worshipping the deity. We're practicing here, but all of these activities that we do are, at once they're on the transcendental platform, because Krishna is transcendental and he's manifesting himself fully here in the deity. And at the same time, it's a practice, it's a sadhana bhakti that just as the Lord wakes up his eye, opens his eyes and wakes up, so here in the temple, the Lord opens his eyes at 4 o'clock in the morning and he wakes up for Mangalati. He accepts some nice offerings, some sweets. The devotees ask him to come back to his altar, and then he's given some nice food to eat, and then he's offered some beautiful items, like he first wakes up. And you can read actually in the in the Krishna book. There's some details and other details given by acharyas that this is actually what happens eternally in the Ashtakali Lila, in Krishna's Lila, that he wakes up and the devotees offer auspicious items and lamp and things. And so that's the archana means deity worship. That's what archana means, right? It's one of the 9 processes. So there's Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Prahlad Maharaj gives the 9 processes of devotional service, and archana is one of those. Is there any other question? Yep. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for the wonderful words.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
2 questions.
Yep.
First question, Prabhupada says in the purport over here that we should see spiritually, not material.
We should see spiritually? I think, yep.
It says that materialists see spiritually and they don't realize.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I was studying English, I was born in Russia. When I was studying English, people used to tell me, try to think in English. And it was almost impossible to think in English without knowing English. And in fact, even if I know English, unless I live in a country where I will speak and think English, it's also impossible. So how is it possible for me in material world, material conditioning, think spiritually?
That's a wonderful question. That's a very good question. Thank you. Yeah. And I mean, the answer is you gave the answer yourself. It's impossible to think in English while you're living in Russia and speaking Russian and in that whole environment. If you want to think basically like an English person, or that's somebody that lives in England, you have to go to England, right? And you learn English, and then you think like they're thinking. Like the climate in Russia is different, the political system, the way people live is different. So they think different, and the language is different. So this is exactly the process, and that's why we just gave that verse from Prahlad Maharaj, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, right? That verse that I quoted in the beginning, which you can look up in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema, Sadhya Kavu Nai, Shravan Adi, Shuddha Chitte Karaya Udai. Shravana Adi, so that's referring to Prahlad Maharaj, Shravana, Kirtanam, like hearing about Krishna, talking about Krishna. Therefore, we remember Krishna, we do all the other activities. So that's exactly what we do. And by hearing from, just like we're hearing from Lord Brahma, he's directly perceiving the Lord. We heard from Bamsidas Babaji on Sunday. We hear from all the acharyas who are living in the spiritual world. They explain how they feel, what's important to them, what's not important to them, right? How they act. The acharyas, they're not interested in any kind of lording it over and becoming the big boss of this material world. They have no interest in that. So if in our heart, what we can do is we can analyze our thoughts and our actions with our intelligence. And Krishna says this in Gita, we should have deliberate spiritual intelligence, we can analyze what our emotions, what our thoughts, what our activities are, and we can compare them to the emotions and the thoughts of the pure devotees, right? And we can say, if we want to be a pure devotee, means if we want to live in the spiritual world, right? We want to go there. As you rightly say, we can't do that while we maintain the thinking and everything of a material person, because a material person is interested in lording it over material nature, getting a higher position. Getting success means collecting more material things and more material honor, getting glorified by materialistic persons. This is the goals of material life. So we can by comparing, and it's a gradual process. It doesn't happen overnight. But the key is to try to see through the scriptures, and then we can see, like, for example, something may come up in our heart where it's like, why do I have to struggle so much and these other people are enjoying, it's not fair, or like something like that. And then we might think, how do the pure devotees act in the world? Well, Srila Prabhupada, he went to Delhi and he had no money. Everyone else was just doing their material things, getting ahead in the world. And he said, no, I have to give Krishna consciousness to the people. That's the only thing that's going to help them. He had no money. He was going to Delhi in the middle of summer, which is like 48 degrees, to go from his temple to the printer. Little bit of money. It was during the Second World War, literally. The rationing was on paper. There was no paper somehow arranged. One time he got gored by a bull on the way. But he's thinking, no, don't worry about this material. This is the important thing. So if we, analyze our life, we can see what the pure devotees put as important and then what's not. And then if we have some emotion like, wow, these devotees are actually doing amazing things. Like these devotees are coming, they're, especially like I was thinking the other day, they're doing this paraphernalia service here. And there's no visibility. They're not there on the altar offering thing, or they're not dressing. They're just humbly doing the paraphernalia service, doing it very nicely. That's real service. Wow, that's wonderful that they do that service without any, and most of the devotees wouldn't even know they were there, but they're doing that service for Krishna. So then, if we think like that, then we compare that. Is that what the acharyas think? Yes, that's a good thought. Okay, I accept that. With my spiritual intelligence, I accept, that is a progressive thing. That's a progressive emotion. Yeah, you should appreciate devotees for their service. That's nice. So like this, we can analyze our thoughts and emotions and actions and compare them to the thoughts and emotions and actions of the pure devotees, and we gradually bring ourselves in line. We give up those ones that are not helpful. We don't castigate ourselves and we don't make a big deal in ourselves. I'm a conditioned soul. I'm not gonna be perfect in every thought, word, deed, but we don't need those things. And then we accept when the spiritual, good, positive emotion come up, we accept it. And the primary way to do this, I'll finish with this because Prasham's coming. The most essential way to do this is to read Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came to give the process of devotional service of how to reawaken pure love for God in Kali Yuga. Right now, it's just 500 years ago in Bengal. Wasn't that much difference. There wasn't a Vedic kings, mostly Islamic rule, Muslim rule. They were killing cows, intoxicants, so many, all the things that we deal with was all going on then. But he had an association of devotees. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you can learn how the devotees interacted with each other. And you especially learn what Lord Chaitanya, who's Krishna himself, you especially learn what he saw as really important in the behavior of devotees. And by that, we can try to mold our life in that way.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. All right, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.